Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of Recapping the Past, the How I Met Your Mother edition. I am no other than your friendly neighborhood soda, joined by, once again, damn it, this is weird for me, Big Fudge, Ben Rayner. How you doing?
Should I switch it? Do you want to switch it?
No, I'm fine with it. I'm not used, it's just because it's mirrored for me, so like, you're on my camera, right? But out of habit, I'm using, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. I've done stage plays, and you'd think I know the difference between stage right and stage left at this point, right? But that's just the way it is. Anyways, so yes, we are coming to an end of our How I Met Your Mother recap. Right now, we are on season number 8, which is the final season before the home stretch, final season before the wedding weekend. What are your thoughts on this season, there, Benny boy?
This is a fucking good season. I'm coming from cussing, but it's our social cussing. I love you. It is probably one of my favorite seasons of the show.
Yeah, this is continuing the trend of the characters getting showing maturity, and I'd say this is probably the most mature season. That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like season 9 is pretty mature, but I mean, like this is the start of the wrap up, and so there's a lot about Ted being single, and there's a lot about Barney settling down, and there's a lot about being a couple with a baby and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of mature stuff in this series.
Well, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think for half of this season, they didn't think this would be the final season.
Yeah, I think they announced it after. It might have announced it in the middle of it.
I think part of the motivation doing making this season was, okay, we need to wrap stuff up. We need to have some finality to some of it.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think you might be correct on that one. I'm just going to quickly look that up. Ugh, this thing allergy season's starting to start for me. They don't even give any production notes on Wikipedia. The sons of bitches.
Remember Ricky? They have a Ricky, right?
I did not know that. You know what's funny? I'm looking at. The 8th season was pretty widely criticized. It's only got a 54% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah, the consensus reads, How I Met Your Mother wears out its welcome this season with an anticlimactic reveal and wrought less than fruitful humor. Well, we're not critics, we're fans of the show.
Okay. Remind me, there's something I want to come back to at the end of...
Why don't you just say it now? Because we'll probably forget.
Okay, well, we get the mother reveal.
That's true, that is at the very end, yeah.
I didn't know if it was on this or not, but that episode, we finally get to see the mother.
Is it? Actually, spoilers, it is not.
Wait, what?
I said spoilers, it is not on my list.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not mine either. I didn't think it was on your list.
Nope.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they don't even have any of the notes on that. You said it might be in the wiki. Yeah, it's not even on there.
Yeah.
Anyways, before we bore our viewers, let us get into it. What is your number 5?
The full mitzvah.
That's on my honorable mentions.
Well, the episode is about how Paxton Pudding can go absolutely wrong, and basically the guy found a pretty out there Paxton Pudding from Horny, and it turns out it was all thanks to Robin, but only to make him, to give him the Paxton Pudding he really wants.
Yeah. What's the best way to give the man who has everything what he wants? To give him the worst bachelor party of all time.
Which had a really special guest with Ralph Marshall and
Well,
came and brought his kids.
two special guests. Remember the
Right,
end?
right, with William Sapka.
Yep. And we do have the return of Quinn. Because
Right.
I mean, what could be worse at your bachelor party than your fiance hiring your ex-fiance as your stripper?
Why shouldn't she snipping real fast after nothing money?
Oh yeah, well, she loved it. The only reason she loved it was for Barney. She's
Yep,
probably making more money than him.
that's true. Okay, what's your number 5, Matt?
So my number 5 is Who Wants to Be a Godparent?
Ooh, on my honorable mentions.
Okay, so Who Wants to Be a Godparent is pretty much everybody coming to terms with the fact that Lily and Marshall might not be there anymore. So, oh, God damn it. There we go. So in this episode, Lily and Marshall's entire world for the past 5 months has been Marvin to the exclusion of all else, including their friends. Now that Mickey has taken some of the child rearing off their plate, the constantly tearful Lily and Marshall now worry about what their mortality means for little Marvin's welfare if they were to depart the world sooner than later. As they complete their will, they run into the obstacle of who they will name as Marvin's guardian. As they exhaust the list of all their living blood relatives, dismissing each for one reason or another, their thought turns to their 3 best friends who all actively campaign for the position. That campaigning irks Marshall and Lily, who decide to choose between the 3 using one of Marshall's passions in life. The question becomes how much of the unusual scrutiny Barney, Robin, and Ted will endure for the opportunity to be Marvin's godparent and potential guardian. Now, that plot line just leaves out something important. At the very beginning of the episode, because of Marvin and all that stuff, Lily and Marshall, they said, we don't want to hear all your problems, so only come to us if it's an 8 or higher. So because of that, they lose touch with their friends. They don't know what's going on in everybody's life.
And you know what? I like the episode, but every time I get to the part of the 3 snub out of the apartment injury, I don't like because...
In other words, you like everything to be hunky-dory and you don't like conflict.
Yeah. That's me. I don't like conflict.
Now, see, this mirrors real world because I have friends who have little kids. So I understand this episode very well. Not to this degree, but...
And I'm sure they handled it. I'm sure it's accurate. And I don't know. Would I be on the side of the 3 or would I be on Marshall and Lily's side? I don't know.
Now, I'm honestly, I do agree with where Lily and Marshall come from because the friends can't be the center of their world anymore. But also, if they are truly your best friends, you do have to make time for them.
Right.
Like, you have to make time for each other and be there because there's a lot of things you are going to miss out on. And yeah, and the reason why the 3 storm out of the room after the thing is because, again, it comes out of that. So this is basically the chunk of the summary for that. So after the lightning round, each of the 3 says they're the easiest choice, and they start shouting over each other again. Marshall tells them they don't know what being a parent is about. Barney tells them they don't know what it means to be friends anymore. Barney, Ted, and Robin complain that this game is the most they've seen Marshall and Lily since Marvin was born, and they don't want to know about anything going on in their lives unless it ranks an 8 or higher. Lily says the days of them shutting down the Clarens are over unless any of the friends want to wake up with a screaming baby at 5:13 the next morning. Marshall tells them that the baby isn't the most important things in their lives. It's the only important thing, that they don't have time to sit around listening to their friends' silly little dating problems. What are you guys going to get that? I think we get it, Ted says, and he leaves with Barney and Robin. So it's a very tough situation because you do sympathize. I do sympathize with both sides, but that's what makes this episode so great is because this is the first time the gang has had a divide like this.
I think where the point of where I see it from is they're more than just friends. They're family. And Lily and Marshall should have been there for them. That's my feeling.
100%. But I also do agree that Lily and Marshall can't listen to everything that's going on, right?
No, true.
It has to be a good balance.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then the rest of it, Marshall and Lily commiserate over how selfish their friends are being, but then realize that they have no idea what's going on in any of their friends' lives. Marshall and Lily decides they've been pretty crappy friends lately. So at the bar, Ted, Barney, and Robin are sitting around when Marshall and Lily stop in so they can talk. They've reached a decision. Lily says they've decided to revoke the 8 or higher rule, and for the first time in nearly half a year, they all shut down McLaren's together. And it was a great night until at 5:13 a.m., Marvin starts crying while Ted, Robin, and Barney are sprawled out asleep in the living room. Marshall and Lily get up and head toward the nursery, but Ted tells them to go back to bed. We got this. Ted and Robin go in to take care of Marvin. Barney walks out. Marshall and Lily decide on a guardian, with Lily saying, no matter what happens, I want to stay in the family. So on the will, they write down Ted Mosby, Robin Scherbatsky, and Barney Stinson as the guardians. It is the only way it can be.
Yeah, I mean 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so what is your number 4?
Well, I do want to touch on one thing before I...
Okay, what's that?
I love Horny's nursery rhymes.
Oh, yeah.
The moon's on the map, up and down, up and down.
That's right, that is from this episode, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, and I love how Barney says about how when they're flashback to how they're going to punch the kid, he's going to make him wear like a J.C. Penney belt or something like that. It's so ridiculous, but that's what we love about the show.
Exactly.
Okay, so what's your number 4?
Speaking of ridiculous, the portraits.
Is that the actual name of the episode?
I believe so. In the episode,
yeah.
What?
It is the name of the episode, and that is nowhere on my list.
Basically, Robin is making Barney sell his apartment, and he's really digging in his heels. He doesn't want to sell it. While all that is going on, Ted and Marshall are watching this
They're watching a version of Downton Abbey.
Yeah. Thinking about really getting mad that they're not ready for them.
Yeah, exactly.
He's working late nights with the captain.
Yeah, because at this point, she's become an art curator for the captain, so she's always working, always doing parties and stuff. And that was Marshall and Lily's tradition, and I believe Ted as well, to watch the show together. But obviously, they got tired of waiting for Lily, so they said, fuck it, we'll watch it. And this leads to my favorite part of the episode, is when everyone's at the house thing. Marshall and Ted pretend to be a gay couple, with Ted pretending to be British, all to piss off Lily, and it works. And Barney's trying to tell everybody at the apartment, like, who's looking at the apartment, all of the things that he's put in there, trying to scare them off. It's like, dear Lord, like all the booby traps and all that stuff, and
the giant head.
Yeah. And this is the one where we find out about the bed, right? The bed that falls down and the new one comes out.
Yeah.
That episode. Yeah, there's that. And then finally, when they find somebody who's going to take the apartment, when it's revealed that they're going to gut the entire thing, Robin, of all people, is the one that says, no, we're not fucking selling you guys. Get out.
This is a fun episode. This is probably one of the funnest in this season.
It is one of the funner ones, but this makes me chuckle. But this one's got a pretty big conflict, and you're okay with this one.
Why is it conflict?
Between Lily and Marshall?
Okay. We know you have a problem with conflict. I mean, with the entire group. And with the group. Whatever.
Okay, okay. This is going to get a little real for a second. Have you ever had conflict with your group of friends where there's a divide?
No.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Okay. Once you've lived through that, then that might change your opinion a little bit. I guess. I don't know.
Whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Let's get off of that. My number 4.
Yeah. What's your number 4, Matt?
I think it might be a punt. 12 Horny Women.
I'm not on my list.
Really? Okay. So this is actually, I guess you could say this is a part 2 to an episode called The Stamp Tramp. This is the return of Joe Manganiello. Dear God, Joe Manganiello. But basically, in this one, when it has to do with Marshall facing the biggest case of his career, only to find out his friend Brad, who in the episode prior, he tried to give a handout because Brad was trying to be out on his luck. It turns out he was doing espionage for the for the corporation that Marshall is fighting against in court. And the 12 horny women comes from the fact that all the jurors are 12 women, and Brad is using all the fucking tricks in the book to woo them. But the coolest things about this is the bookmarking. Is that throughout this, it's essentially Marshall in front of a judiciary panel, and you're wondering why. Do you think, well, did he do something wrong? Did he get in trouble? Turns out, no. At the end of the episode, this case made him realize for him to make a true difference, he wants to be a judge. He wants to become Judge Fudge. And we do have a special guest star in this one, none other than Mr. Belding himself. And yes, Ben, you did text me when I was watching it to confirm, yes, you do hear the Mr. Belding laugh in this.
Of course, right? Of course.
Yeah, but it's one of those blink and you'll miss it sort of things, though. So what do you think of this episode?
A great episode. I like what we feel at the end. I want to say I didn't see it coming, but maybe I did. I can't remember.
Well, this isn't your first time. I'm assuming this isn't your first time seeing it.
No. I mean, the first time I watched it.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
When I first watched it myself, I personally didn't see it coming.
But, yeah, I like that we see Marshall going from a law student to wanting to be a judge. And then the spoiler alert for the finale, a Supreme Judge.
Yeah, and also at the very end, Brad realizes that maybe he wants to fight for the little guy, and while still being a douche, goes to work for Marshall's firm. Again, but this time for real. Yeah. But there's also the B story where Ted, Lily, Robin, and Barney are all trying to figure out who's the most hardcore, who is the more delinquent as a child, and it turns out it was Lily of all people. All she would do is start whistling, and everybody just leaves the streets. Yeah.
What were they whistling again?
Well, they were all trying to one up each other as to who was the bigger badass as a teenager.
No, what was the whistle? What was it? A generic whistle?
Oh yeah, it was. I can't remember, but it was.
It was something.
It was something, and it actually is it is to a tune I've heard before.
Yeah, me too.
I can't remember what it is, but yeah, no. It turns out it's Lily. Oh. It's the farmer in the Dell. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we find out in this episode that Goth Lily is the one that actually corrupted Scooter. He was a preppy before he met her, and then he dredged her down into the doldrums. Or all the way around, she dredged him into the doldrums.
Right. I love the reality of Robin's bad face.
Which is, the reality is pretty funny, but her made up phase is so rock star. Like, you hear stories of that all the freaking time.
Oh yeah.
And Barney's, he runs into the bailiff, who says things like, the last time I saw you, you were in Costa. I'm not used to seeing you in Costa and all that stuff, which makes them think that he actually was a delinquent. Turns out, no, him and the bailiff were both part of a junior magician's club.
And forgive me, I think the reason Barney was a magician is because Neil can really do magic, right?
His dad with the magic tricks with the thing behind his ear. I guess he wanted to do it to be close to his dad. Well, to his uncle Jerry.
No, I'm saying Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh, in real life, he is an accomplished magician. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's why they made Barney into a magician.
Yeah, no, he brought that to Barney all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying. What is Ted's again? Oh, his mugshot was actually taken at Shaker Heights Renaissance Fair. That's what it was. Yeah.
Of course it was.
Yeah. Okay, so what is your number 3?
Indonesia.
That's on my honorable mentions.
Mainly, And then what? The morning after or the day after?
This is the episode after. So I don't know what the timeline is, but it is the episode after.
In the episode after, Robin and Bonnie get engaged, and Ted trying to plan the wedding on. He tried to get them a DJ, but there's really an ulterior motive behind that. While all that is going on, Marvin is having especially in unique issue going to the bathroom.
As if he can't know. It's a little trivia. For you. There's a little trivia for you. In this episode, it was revealed that Barney and Robin's wedding is on May 25th. May 25th also happens to be the same day that both the original Star Wars and Return of the Jedi movies were released.
Oh.
Coincidence? I think not.
Yeah. I think that's a coincidence.
I don't know. I think that one's not on purpose. That is something you definitely see Barney trying to do. Though.
Yeah, you're right. Well, tell me, Matt, what did you think of this episode?
It was a decent enough episode. I mean, this is where we're starting to get into the wedding planning phase of the season, and also it's where Ted finally. This is the one with Ted and Lily on the rooftop, right?
Yeah.
Right. So Ted finally reveals to Lily that he is still in love with Robin. And you're right, Ted did have an ulterior motive because in the very first season he said that a band would be better at a wedding. In this episode, he's trying to get them to get a DJ. As if somehow that would break up their wedding. But anyways, they're on the rooftop. And Lily finally gets it out of Ted. But the way she gets it out of Ted is something you don't want to ever hear a mother say. Basically, she says, I'm going to give you an out here. And I'm going to tell you something I've never said to anybody. She says, some days I wish I wasn't a mother. Some days I wish I would I want to pack up my bags and leave Marshall and Marvin. And you're just like, whoa, that's heavy. And then that's when Ted reveals that he's still in love with Robin.
And, yeah, they talk and then they go down. And you see Marvin finally pick his. And can go to the bathroom and you just see confetti flying over.
Yeah. No, it's a good episode, and it's got one of the heavier, more real moments you'll ever hear. And like I said, it's not something you ever want to hear a mother say.
And I think he had to get force these moments off the best out of the five, in my opinion.
Yeah. Because they are so close, they've known each other for so long. They can tell each other these things.
Right.
We've all got that one friend.
Right. What is your number 3, Matt?
The overcorrection.
Don't have it. Any of my honorable mention.
Okay. So in the overcorrection, Ted, Marshall, and Lily are happy for Barney now that he's started dating Robin's coworker, Patrice. Despite Patrice not being an obvious match for Barney, as she is the most caring person in the world, they believe his attraction to her is an overcorrection from previously dating Quinn, who he did not trust. The one person not happy for Barney is Robin, who, despite stating that she is no longer in love with Barney herself, doesn't understand Barney and Patrice's pairing. Robin believes that if she can get a hold of Barney's playbook and show it to Patrice, Patrice in turn will dump Barney for seeing who he really is. Meanwhile, Marshall's mother is coming for a visit. Lily doesn't want Judy to stay with them until they bond over a confession that Judy makes to Lily that Lily would like to help with her with, and that Judy doesn't want Marshall to know about yet, that she's ready to move on after Marvin's death and start dating. A further action, that's this episode. A further action by Judy may make Lily change her mind about Judy's confession. Both Robin's task and the situation of the Erickson household place Ted in the middle. He who only wants to recover the many items that his friends have borrowed from him over the years but have never knowingly returned. Now, what's funny is this actually starts the running joke of every time they use something that says property of Ted Mosby. You see it a lot from this point on. You really do.
Oh. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you even see it in season 9 in some of the flashbacks where they're like zooming on the thing that says property of Ted Mosby on it.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, so pretty much everybody ends up in the apartment trying to, for one reason or another. I guess at one point, Robin, she's in the closet. Barney comes home, she can't get out, so she calls Ted to try to distract him so she can get out. She leaves, but ends up leaving her purse. Ted ends up in this whole convoluted thing. The very end, the playbook is left on the counter. Barney and Patrice find it. Barney burns the playbook to show that he is not messing around.
Listen though.
Sorry?
Listen though.
Well, that's spoilers for next season, though.
No, not this season.
Is it? Is it also this season?
Look at them.
Well, anyways, we'll get there. But yeah, so the very end, he burns the playbook, and you're just like, holy shit. He really is. But also, the thing with Judy is she ends up sleeping with Lily's dad, and poor Marshall walks in on that. Uh-huh. Yeah, but you know what? They make a cute couple together, and as we see later on, they end up joining them on a trip.
Well, he does. I don't know about her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, she appears at the end of that scene. At that scene in Italy.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, because she says she speaks Italian, very Minnesotan. Very Minnesotan. Italian with a Minnesota accent. Like, think about that.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so what is your number 2?
Grow up.
Not on any of my lists.
Maybe Ted watching the younger girl. I think Marshall and Lily are against it. And Robin is against it. But Horny and coaching Ted to do it because he wants Ted to be a proxy thing for him, right?
What did you say the name of the episode was?
Ring up.
Oh, I heard Grow Up. So I'm here looking through the list like, what the fuck? Yeah,
no,
Ring Up.
I didn't say Grow Up, but it's Ring Up. My bad.
Yeah, okay. Now that because that one, yes, is in this season.
Okay, anyway, it's revealed that the younger woman is actually Bonnie's half-sister.
Yeah, whoops.
Right. And the end of the episode, Ted says he didn't sleep with him, or did he?
Yeah, always with the wink. And he's so smooth with it.
Well, we got Bonnie in it too, with Ted's mother.
Yeah, right, yes. And also, apparently, there was a theory going into this episode that the mother was going to be Barney's sister. I never heard that one before.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
I don't like it either, but I was like, that's a weird one.
I don't like that.
Yeah. But there's also another part to this with Robin, and which is the name of the episode.
Oh, you're right, because she doesn't like the fact that she's now engaged, that whenever she wears her engagement ring, she becomes invincible to every other guy in the pub.
Yeah, now she can't get any beers. She doesn't get put to the front of the line for her coffee. She has to pay for everything, which I'm just like, no wonder they can afford all this liquor at the bar. Dear Lord. Because seriously, if you think about it in real world, there's no way they could close down a bar every night living in New York. Not on a teacher's salary, not as a law student. Barney, unless he paid for everything.
Yeah. I mean, one would think, oh, well, wait a minute. Remember, Robin's doing it.
Yeah, but when they reveal that, they also reveal she never paid for a thing in her life.
Oh, okay. Fair point.
Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those. It's like Friends. You have to suspend disbelief about that because if you know how New York is, there's no fucking way.
No way. So, what did you think of this episode?
It's a good episode. It didn't make it on either of my lists. It's I do love the reveal of it being Barney's half sister because the first part he's just like, yeah, did you nail her? Like, is she hot? Is she like Does it, the curtain match the drapes, that sort of thing? And then, yeah, that all changes when he finds out his sister. Doesn't he try to, like, marry them?
Yep.
Like, shotgun wedding style? It's so ridiculous.
Oh, it makes me laugh, though. It makes me laugh.
Sure. So I get a feeling my number 2 is going to be a punt for you.
Even then, we haven't hit number 1.
Yeah, but my number 2, I'm pretty sure is going to be your number 1.
What's your number 2?
The Final Page, Part 2.
Yeah, now you have me curious about what your number 1 is. Let me get there.
I've told you many times what my favorite episode of the season is.
And I'm thinking that. Okay.
But we do, so this is a punt then?
Yeah, this is a punt.
Okay, so let's do our honorable mentions. So you go first.
So, 12 angry women and, God. You hit another one, I forget. Yeah, 12 angry, courtroom one.
That's your only honorable mention, really?
Yeah, I had. Oh, and Bad Crazy.
Right. Okay. So I've got Nannies.
Oh, and Who Wants to Be a Godparent. That's the other one.
I've got Nannies, which at the end Barney sleeps with the old nanny, which is weird. Bander DJ, The Bro Mitzvah, and Splitsville.
What do you mean?
Splitsville is where Barney reveals his love for Robin, but then at the end says, "No, I was just joking because you were in an awkward situation."
Right. What do you mean about Bad Crazy? You do know who plays Janet, right? I think that's her name.
Yeah, it's Chris Elliott. It's Abby Elliott, Chris Elliott's daughter. Yeah, of course.
I didn't know. Okay, so my number 1, I guess.
You're number 1.
What?
You're number 1. So are you for this is for Front Page Part 1, 2 a whole for you? As well?
Yeah.
See, I couldn't do this. Is the only 2-parter I couldn't do that for.
Really? Okay. Well,
just because the only tie-in for the 2 episodes is the very end of the first half.
You know what? Yeah, fine. Then the whole part.
No, you can. I'm not saying don't include it. I'm saying
no. But you're right. I forgot about that. I thought there was more in part 1.
Yeah, no. The first half, it feels like an entirely separate episode.
Right. Okay. Okay. The Final Page Part 2. Martin carries the he's going to propose to other countries on the roof of Goliath, no, I can't talk. On the roof of the GMP building, but Martin promises Ted not to return the money. Of course, Ted tells Marshall, asking him, should I tell Robin? Marshall says no. Ted tells her anyway. She ends up on the roof, preparing to stop the engagement, but all she finds herself final page and revealed that the whole last few episodes is a big fan of Barney to propose to Robin at the building.
Yeah, Ted blurts this out to Robin in the car on their way to the big gala opening for the G&D building that he designed. And Robin tells Ted while they drive how huge it is. That's something he thought up in this, could be the thing, right? The car stops and they're not at Ted's building. They're at the Worldwide News building. This is me just reading it straight from the plot summary because Robin insists that they go to Ted's party and he asks her if she wants to follow her heart instead of making small talk with bankers. Robin says she can't go on making an ass out of herself, and Ted gives her defense, making an ass out of oneself. He says that 8 years ago he made an ass of himself chasing after her, and he's made an ass of himself several times since, and it's gotten him a great friend. He finally convinces her to get out of the car and up to that roof. Robin opens the door to the roof and sees rose petals spread out and candles lit. She picks up a piece of paper. It's titled The Robin from Barney's playbook. He details step by step all the steps he's taken, which just proves just how fucking lunatic he is. But anyways, step 1, admit to himself he still has feelings for this girl. Step 2, choose the wrong moment to make a drunken move after hanging out at a strip club and get shot down on purpose. Step 3, agree that they two don't work, locking the door on any future they have together, which will drive Robin nuts. Step 4, Robin goes nuts. Step 5, find the person who annoys Robin most in the world, Patrice, and ask for her help. Explain everything to Patrice and hope she agrees to help. Barney gets a big hug for Patrice, and I think cracks his back. Step 6, check with his doctor about possible broken ribs. Step 7, pretend to be dating Patrice. Step 8, wait until Robin inevitably breaks into your apartment to find the playbook and show it to Patrice, which you'll monitor from the video cameras installed in his apartment. Step 9, after Patrice finds the playbook, have their big fight, and we see what Barney and Patrice were really talking about on the balcony. Step 10, prove your loyalty to Patrice by burning the playbook and actually burn it. He doesn't need it anymore. Step 11, because his friends have no boundaries, they'll inevitably have an intervention for Robin. Step 12, tell only Ted about his plans to propose. Step 13, wait and see if Ted tells Robin, and if he does, it means your best bro in the world has let go of Robin and is giving you his blessing. Step 14, Robin arrives at her favorite spot in the city and finds the secret final page of the playbook, the last play he'll ever run. Step 15, Robin realizes she's standing under mistletoe. Robin sees Barney and tells him that after lying and manipulating her, she can't trust him. She thanks him for setting her free because she can't be with a man who thinks this trick, this enormous lie, could ever make me want to date him again. He tells her to turn over the page. Step 16 is written. Hope she says yes. Robin Scherbatsky, will you marry me? Yes, and they kiss. Ted's building is dedicated, and he gets a toast and shakes hands. Marshall and Lily go back home to see Marvin. Ted goes to a window high atop the G&B and looks out somberly at the Worldwide News building, because he's still in love with her. And if I'm not mistaken, it's at that point that he decides he's ready to move, isn't it? If I'm not right? No. Or is it later when he gets a call from Carruthers?
It is later. Well, you don't see it yet.
Yeah. But either way, that's a pretty lonely moment. But it's still not the best moment. It's still not the best episode, in my opinion.
Okay, I'm here. What you?
The Time Travelers.
Oh, fuck.
Like, how many times
I knew I forgot something. Okay, that's on my honorable mentions too.
So not only did this episode introduce me finally to the great Billy Joel song, Whoa, for the longest time. Yeah. This is also Ted realizing a few things. And the end of this episode, might as well just chop off my nuts at this point, because I'm gonna cry every time.
Well, okay, let me ask. Well, talk about the episode and then I'll ask you.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm gonna read the small summary and then I'm gonna read the final scene. In April 2013, Ted is feeling all alone, with Lily and Marshall preoccupied with their family, Robin and Barney planning their wedding, and Ted without a significant other in his life. Barney asks Ted if you like to see Robots vs. Wrestlers Legends. Ted decides against it. Ted is visited by future versions of Barney and himself, who try to convince him to go or not to go with current Barney to the event. The visit by these future versions of Barney and himself, who have the knowledge of what happened in the future, eventually opens Ted's eyes to why he has really received these visits. Meanwhile, Marshall embarks on a battle with Robin, as Robin has received credit at McLaren's for a cocktail he created, while Lily vows to stay neutral in the battle. Now, this is where it gets real. Just give me a second to find it. Okay. So, Barney explains to Ted that the moment already is gone. Oh, sorry. We're going to go back paragraph. Ted smiles, but tells Barney he is going to head home. Barney doesn't try to stop him and asks Ted how he even tried to do that. Ted says Barney would tell him, life is short, and if you ever come across a beautiful, exciting, crazy moment, you've got to seize it while you can before that moment's gone. Barney explains to Ted that the moment already is gone. He says the whole Minnesota tidal wave thing happened 5 years ago. It's just a memory, and the rest of this never happened. He tells Ted that at that moment, Marshall and Lily are actually upstairs trying to get Marvin to go back to sleep, and he is with Robin trying to decide on a caterer. And you've been sitting here all night staring at a single ticket to Robots versus Wrestlers because the rest of us couldn't come out. Look around, Ted, Barney says. You're all alone. And that's when they play the musical cue for the song You're All Alone, which is just the way the key it's written in. Woof. Anyways, old Ted explains to the kids that it's been almost 20 years since that night in April 2013. And if he could go back in time and relive that night, there's no way in hell I'd go to Robots versus Wrestlers. He says he'd go home and see his old apartment, his old drafting table, his old couch, and he'd go to Lily and Marshall's place to be back in that old living room where so many things happened. I'd see the baby, he says, as we see him lifting up Marvin. I don't know if you can picture me holding your 6'7" cousin Marvin over my head, but back then I could. He said he'd go have a drink with Barney and Robin and watch them fight about their caterer or whatever it was they were fighting about that night. But none of those things were the thing I do first, he says. You know the thing I do first. We see Ted running in the alternate version of what actually happened around the corner of 115th Street, where his would-be wife was living. He runs up to her place and knocks on the door. Now, this is one of the first true hints, without realizing it, that they acknowledge that the wife has passed away. Hi, he says. I'm Ted Mosby, and exactly 45 days from now, you and I are going to meet, and we're going to fall in love. We're going to get married, and we're going to have 2 kids, and we're going to love them and each other so much. All that is 45 days away, but I'm here now, I guess, because I want those extra 45 days with you. I want each one of them. If I can't have them, I'll take the extra 45 seconds before your boyfriend walks up and punches me in the face, because I love you. I'm always going to love you till the end of my days and beyond. You'll see. Yeah. But we see Ted in the real April 2013 just turn and walk away from the bar.
Wow.
It's a pretty heavy scene, and it's like I said, once you know how the series ends, it makes it that much more heavy. Because who wouldn't want extra time like that?
So, when you say the final scene gets you, you mean when Ted and Tommy...
The speech that I just read.
Okay.
The one I sent you, the one with him standing in the doorway saying, I want these 45 days.
Everything in the mother's hallway, not everything before.
Everything in the everything in the mother's hallway, but it does start when he says, no, in reality, Marshall and Lily are upstairs.
Okay.
It starts there, but it's the scene in the mother's hallway. Where he's saying, I want 45 days with you. Because right there, something's off. Something happened.
No, not necessarily. I mean...
The way he's crying? You don't cry like that if you're retelling the story and your significant other's still alive. You do not tell it like that.
Okay. No, you're right.
Yeah. Like, I mean, the pain in Ted's face on that, something happened. You just don't know what.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
And I mean, like, the first time you see it, it's easy to interpret it like that he just wishes he was able to spend even more than he's got with his wife right now and stuff like that. But once you know the fact that she dies before he tells the story to the kids, that just puts that whole thing into perspective. Why he's crying like that? Why he's saying, "I'm going to love you till the day I die."
Yeah, wow.
Until the end of my days and beyond.
You're right. That is the best scene in the season.
Yeah, if not the best scene in the series.
Yeah. Wow. Good episode.
Yeah, and like I said, there's that, and of course the button end of it is the future versions of Barney and Ted, and the current version of Barney and Ted doing the harmony of For the Longest Time, which Billy Joel did all on himself. He did all the parts on himself, all the vocals, all the vocal instruments. He did it all himself and just layered it. But yeah, it was pretty cool. First time I'd ever heard that song.
Right. Me too.
Is that your phone ringing?
And not me.
Not mine. Mine's on vibrate. Weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have finally come to the end of season 8. And the very end of season 8 is them going to Farhampton for Barney and Robin's wedding.
Yeah.
I'm surprised none of us had something new, something blue on the list.
Yeah. The only memorable part of that episode is actually the very, very last scene.
Well, yeah, we're meeting under.
Yeah, I know we met, like, in okay episode.
Yeah.
Can have Robin find a locket, right? Not in the episode.
That's in something old, yes, where Ted finds the locket, and there's more to that we find out in the next season, because it takes place, a couple days later.
Yeah.
You also do have in something new, Barney and Robin ruining fucking Keegan-Michael Key and his girlfriend's date.
Not as funny. Not as funny.
But yeah, you're right, outside of those, it's not the memorable episode, but... So what do we have to look forward to in season 9, Ben?
Well, we have a fun slap.
Yeah.
We have a lot of letting go in season 9. But moving on.
A lot of letting go, a lot of moving on, a lot of threads wrapped up. We see a lot of cameos, returns.
We have a lot of returns. I could hit pause.
Yeah.
Really funny.
We have the biggest fight that Lily and Marshall have ever had.
Right. We have...
My favorite episode of the whole show.
Right. We have one of my favorite episodes. I can't remember where the return of once.
Yeah.
This season or next
season? It's this season.
Okay.
Daisy.
Right.
Yeah.
We
got how all the instances of how the mother met everyone else before.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. We also meet Robin's mother, played by a very stand-up comic.
Right.
We'll find out what happens to the gang between the wedding and when Ted is telling a story, which a lot of people don't like, which I say.
Timing.
Yeah. A lot of good people shit on this season, but you know what, man? Like, so what if it didn't end how they wanted, man? The ending was choreographed from the very beginning, and if you didn't see it, you need to rewatch the series.
Amen. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you.
We will, in not next week, but the week after when we do our big recap, I'm sure we'll get into that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so final thoughts on season 8?
Okay. I said it before, I said it good. One of my favorite seasons.
Yeah.
Great episodes and a great season.
I put it in the top half, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it does have, like I said, my favorite scene in the whole series, hands down, in The Time Travelers, which I could watch over and over again until I have more tears left.
Well, yeah, it's not good.
Okay, so, Ben, where can everybody find you?
Okay, you can find me at BenReader2 on Twitter. You can find me every Tuesday on Shooting the Breeze with Matt here, every Friday on Recapping here, every Saturday on the flagship show, Get Ready, every Sunday on Men's Hot Take, and every Saturday on Mount Showdown. I think that's everything.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
Ben's listed everything I'm on in this show as usual, so you can also find me over on Schmoes of the North on over there, just talking about Schmodown. We go live every Friday night after every pay-per-view to do live discussion on that. Sometimes we have special guests, and sometimes we don't. We also have Northern Consultations, which has taken a back seat the last little while because of our busy schedules and stuff, but we will be coming back with a vengeance with that in April, so definitely look out for those. Don't forget, everybody, to like and subscribe to this channel, this show, all our other great shows on this channel, and also there's Worlds of the North, because I'm not above shamelessly plugging that one again. And of course, myself personally, you can find me at Soda the underscore Saxman on Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget, everybody, we will see you next week, and smash cancer. And
Yeah.